most adults have the emotional maturity of a child. They don't know how to deal with their emotions in day-to-day life. They don't realize that they have poor behavior, that they're acting immature. They don't realize that you actually need to build that as a skill set in your life in order to equip you properly. So let's just quickly talk about a few things about what emotional immaturity looks like. Okay, like a little checklist. It's not exhaustive, but this is just a few things that you can test to know if you're emotionally immature. Okay, so a first one would be if you're sulking. If you like to sulk about things, you're upset about things, you're pouting, you just pouting, you're upset, you sulk, you didn't get your own way or whatever it is, so you just go into sulking. That is emotional immaturity. Okay, playing the victim, that's a big one nowadays. Everybody likes to be a victim. You're offended by what somebody said, you're hurt by what somebody said, what they said was offensive and was mean, and so now all of a sudden you're a victim, or you don't get your own way, or you can't do what you want, or somebody has a differing opinion than yourself and you make yourself a victim. That is emotional immaturity. I'm sorry for all those people in society today, because there's a lot of people that live in that. Another one that is showing that you're emotionally mature is snapping at people. That's a good one, where you're short with people, you're snapping at them, you're quick-tempered, or you're just rude. You're immature. That's emotional immaturity. Big ones that are always recognizable to people are people that have anger issues, that go into rages, that, some people have little temper tantrums, like they're throwing things, they're mad, they're angry, they're hot-headed, and everybody just kind of says, oh, that's just who that person is. Well, that's emotional immaturity. Walking away in a huff. That's another one. That's a good one. You get mad, you don't get your own way, you're upset, you're offended, whatever it is, you walk away in a huff. And that's a good one to test you. Another one that people wouldn't see is probably emotional immaturity, but definitely is sulking. There's those people that like to sulk, or the silent treatment. Sorry, we talked about sulking. The silent treatment. The silent treatment is one that a lot of people don't think about as emotional immaturity. You just think, oh, I just need to have time alone and talk, or I can't talk right now, and I just need to be silent. But are you actually thinking and processing? Or are you actually giving somebody the silent treatment? If you're giving somebody the silent treatment, that is emotional immaturity. It just really is. Another one would be selfishness. If you're selfish, everything is about you. Everything is about the way you want things. Or you're always accusing others. Nothing's ever your fault. So again, these aren't exhaustive. These are just some examples for you to kind of go, do I fit in any of those buckets? Like, do I ever do that? Am I like that at all? And if it is, you need to build skill sets to make changes in your life in order to become the person that you want to be. Okay? Because this is part of my Design Your Life series. And in this series, it's all about you designing your life the way you want. And nobody wants to live as an emotionally immature person that is acting like a child. Okay? I was just at the airport the other day for work, and I was, checking in, and I wasn't flying on Air Canada, but I saw this guy at the airport in a full-on fight with one of the Air Canada representatives. And I just kind of laughed and walked by, because it was kind of like he was throwing a temper tantrum about something that he wanted. And then the Air Canada agent was becoming as equally intense in that situation. And I was like, oh, that's not going to go well at all. Especially for the person that's trying to catch the flight, because they're definitely not going to let him on the flight. But I also realized in that, by watching that situation for a few more minutes, that the Air Canada person that had tried to step in to deal with this situation really wasn't handling it that well. And again, that was his emotional immaturity in that situation. And just the dynamics of that. And so what I would say to you is just take a few moments and reflect on yourself and be open, be honest, and just ask yourself, do I do any of those things or anything that kind of triggers you to go, yeah, I do that. That would probably be a little bit emotionally immature. Okay. And I just want to encourage you, if you are behaving in any of those ways, you need to be brave. You need to admit it, and you need to give yourself the tools to move forward in life, to become better. Okay. So I think the first key is recognizing them, admitting it, recognizing it, and then knowing you can build the skill set to change those things. If you're easily overwhelmed by your emotions and your emotions are taking control of you, and that's probably most of these things, is when your emotions start directing your behaviors, okay? And you can cause a lot of chaos in those situations, and you're not being realistic, you're not thinking properly. The first thing to do is recognize when it happens, and then I would say to stop yourself. Like the best thing that could have happened in that airport right then and there is for that passenger to go, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I just need to catch myself here. I'm sorry for my behavior. Let's just back up and just figure out, how we can move forward. Calmly change his response. It probably would have helped the whole entire situation in that moment. Instead, he just kept getting more intense and raising his voice and fighting, and then so did the Air Canada agent. So if one of them would have just had the ability to change their response, it would have changed the dynamics of the situation. Although it was quite comical to watch in the airport. It was kind of like watching a little kid have a temper tantrum that wanted candy, and then the parent going equally as intense with the child. But you don't have to live that way. You don't have to have a life like that. You don't have to create that kind of anxiety for yourself, because that's just going to create a lot of extra stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot more pressure in your life. You're going to derail relationships, friendships, probably marriages, whatever else. And people might just want to be around you because of having these sort of traits in your life. So you want to become better, and you want to be the person that you want to become. So I would say recognize it, recognize that you can build the skills to change these behaviors. Own your emotions. If you do something that is wrong to somebody else, like you lash out or whatever it is, own that, talk about it. Just be real with yourself, because that's part of the process of being able to change. And I don't mean being one of those people that is like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again. No, your sorry actually has to be remorseful, and you have to change your behavior. You have to start catching that behavior and changing that behavior. And you need to be curious around what is triggering those behaviors and what is causing you to act that way. Like, you need to be really curious. Like, what is it? Why am I trapped in this 8-year-old emotional state, or this 6-year-old emotional state? Or maybe it's 3 because you're throwing temper tantrums. Or, you're huffing off like a teenager, mad at their parents. I don't know. Ask yourself, why do I do that? Why do I huff off like that? Why am I trapped in this 13-year-old person's, emotional maturity? And then figure out what it is that triggers those things. What are your stressors? And then start changing them. And it'll happen slowly. But I think that the key is being curious about your response, being curious about, why am I acting this way? Why am I doing this? Why am I damaging my relationships with others? So those are just some questions to help you. And then start acting the opposite. So if you catch yourself all of a sudden in a place where you're stressed out or angry or frustrated, I don't know, maybe smile. I worked in retail as a district sales manager, and I've had a lot of people yell, scream, swear at me. call me names, to get their own way, do whatever they want. And afterwards, I probably, maybe I shouldn't say this. I would just laugh sometimes after. Not necessarily at the person, but just laugh because it brought you back down to a place where you could feel good again and just smile and realize that's that person's problem. They need to own their emotional immaturity. I'm not getting caught up in that. I'm not going to allow that to ruin my day, and I'm just going to smile. And so again, if you're angry and frustrated and you allow that anger to keep building and you keep stewing over that, whatever caused that anger to rise up, and you just keep repeatedly doing that in your mind, that same situation, you keep talking about it, you're making yourself angrier and angrier and more entitled and more frustrated. You need to stop thinking like that, stop talking about it, and start thinking about solutions to change that process in your mind, which will help you change how you react. Okay? So again, I'm going to say it. Most adults have the emotional maturity of a child. Don't be one of them. You can change it. It's possible. Don't act like a child. You don't need to act like a child. You can have great relationships and you can be emotionally mature. All right. So I hope you like this video. If you do, like and subscribe. Just, leave a comment below. Maybe you're struggling with something. Write it in the comment below. We're all human. We all struggle with things. But we have to know is that we can move past that, right? We can become better, right? We can design the life that we want. We can have the relationships that we want. All right? So I'm just encouraging you, keep positive, smile, make those small changes, because small changes will add up to big things in your life. Have a great day.